Mishcon Academy Digital Sessions.
Welcome everyone. I'm Rhodes, Head of Mishcon Purpose, and I'll be your host for today. Thank you for joining this Mishcon Academy Digital Session, which is a series of online events, podcasts, and videos looking at the biggest issues for people and businesses today. This is the third of our 2021 sessions in a collection of conversations called Purpose Matters. In each conversation, I bring together a lawyer from our firm together with a specialist in sustainability and responsible business. Today, we're going to talk about the role of technology in achieving sustainability. The pandemic has forced an unprecedented crisis response globally. This has been led and enabled by technology, from the fast-track development of new vaccines and track and trace to home working and the expansion of the virtual realm and big data. The pandemic has also highlighted the fragilities of the systems we have created, of inequalities in society, and of ecosystem boundaries that we're running right up against. The policy narrative of Build Back Better, as we look to emerge from the lockdowns and into a new reality, is converging with the ever-growing obligations on businesses to address these ESG factors that they haven't had to consider before. And to meet this transformation, businesses need to be able to measure, monitor, adapt, create, and find new ways of doing things, ways which enable accountability, the accountability that's being asked of them, to build value and to minimize the externalities and make much smarter use of the limited precious resources that we have. I'm really excited to be joined today by Tazz Parker, who is the Marketing Director at Digital Detox, and Head of MDRX Tech, Tom Grogan. Tazz, Digital Detox, and I've been practicing this, is a humanity-led digital product agency.
Yes.
And you say that you create future-proofed products with the right technology in the most digitally sustainable way.
We are a purpose and humanity-led organisation, and we use a 3-pillar approach at Digital Detox to make all of our decisions. That's both internally and externally, from how we build technology to how we talk to our clients or even one another in the team. And those 3 pillars are people, planet, and technology. And so as an organisation, that our main focus is to use tech to build solutions for our clients. It's so important to us to ensure that our understanding of purpose and of planet is a collective responsibility in order to empower our team as well as our customers. And so to make that work, we break that down into 3 key areas: creating awareness, taking responsibility, and providing choice. It's around a shared understanding of that accountability and knowing that in every step of the process to creating a digital product, whether that's a website, whether that's an app or something a little bit more precise and complicated, that we're able to track and trace exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it. So I think that concept around technology with purpose comes in there, but then it's also having the accountability that you've made the right decision on what tech you're going to use because it's solving a problem. And then that means you take the accountability of the carbon emissions that come from that.
Tom, it takes us to you, of course. And last year you launched MDRX Tech, which is a technology business owned by our firm, which of course is a law firm. This point around accountability is sort of beautifully pertinent. I mean, I wanted to ask you, in the context of the ESG regulatory environment, which is developing so quickly, whether you could tell us a little bit more about MDRX Tech, but particularly where the proposition comes from it being housed in a law firm, and perhaps you could reach across in that and touch on the accountability point that Tazz has just been making.
MDRX Tech, as you just said, is our the Mishcon Group's technology, engineering, and consulting businesses. So we are helping clients to navigate their problems and pursue their technology initiatives and programs in a way, and we talk about compliance by design underpinning everything that we do. You're absolutely right. It exists within a law firm and was born from having a really strong technology practice. We've got a great group of technology lawyers within the Mishcon family. But especially on the emerging technology side of things, we increasingly found ourselves advising clients on things that were quasi-legal. That's not to say that the lawyers don't have a crucially important role to play. I think that our position is very much that as the world moves online, the digital space, the technology space, isn't some absence vacuum within which you can operate with impunity and without regard to the law and regulation at the most obvious, but more ambiguously perhaps, but just as importantly, morals and ethics and all of the things that we've got to think about.
Tazz, I wonder whether could I ask you maybe to sort of give us some real examples? Have you got an example you could walk us through in terms of implementing a technology project to solve a problem like that?
One of the things that we regularly see with our clients is that they're looking to cull their digital pollution, rely on technology less, or just in general become more sustainable. In order for them to understand that, they often first ask us, how can we use technology to understand the personal impact of individuals within teams? And how do you manage this? At Digital Detox, off the back of that, we developed something called Winsome, which is a carbon data engine. It automatically monitors travel data. And this is something we think is going to be really useful for post-pandemic and going back into the office. And it then converts that data to provide near real-time carbon visibility for companies. And I think that's, again, another issue we see quite regularly, that the analysis on your carbon usage from your business kind of comes a year after it's happened, and you're not able to implement change quickly. So Winsome, it integrates both technological and behavioural mindsets to address barriers to especially Scope 3 measurement, but your sustainability in general. And it surfaces emissions data from data already within companies' existing systems. And that then allows them to link to productivity, profitability, and also environmental policies.
Tom, is that a shared experience on your side?
Change for change's sake, or adopting it can be the best piece of technology in the world, but people don't use it. And if it doesn't fit with the company's or organization's core values or culture or ethos, then what's the point? To some extent, it's got to be consistent and it's got to have that connection. Generally, the way that we tend not to try and come in with a top-down approach to solving clients' problems. We've got all sorts of approaches that we use to map out what their issues are and try and come to solutions. But we are very cognizant that each organisation is very different, and that being too dogmatic with a structure and a framework as you come in can sometimes be detrimental. I think the one thing that I can say definitively is that every problem we seek to solve and the way we seek to solve it is driven by data. Because if it's not driven by the data, then it's sort of guesswork.
Tazz, I wanted to ask you, again, sort of in the application of technology, in the context of companies looking for solutions to these sustainability type problems. I mean, do you see clients coming to you mainly looking at this agenda through the lens of risk management?
The way that we approach anything that we look to build is at first looking at a discovery phase, understanding of the fact that sometimes you don't know what the problem is. You might think you do, but going on that discovery together and looking at what that could look like as a prototype or an MVP or something actually with pretty low fidelity that you can then build up to a clickable prototype. Even we're not even talking about necessarily having anything that looks like the final product, but then that enables you to risk and risk mitigate and work on that. What does the data mean? How do I find it? How can I use it to create sustainable change? And that can require spending money. on discovering rather than building and jumping in straight away, because you find out stuff you might have not known. In turn, that means that you save money by making sure what you build is actually truly needed.
Tom, I wanted to go back to the sort of the technology itself. If you're a business and you've got a sustainability challenge or an ESG challenge that you're trying to address, and you think that technology is going to be helpful, what are the most important factors that you think that you should be, sort of have on your tick list as you think about commissioning some?
Assuming we've got we've got comfortable and happy that the problem we're solving for or the opportunity we're going after is settled and is done and is a informed by data position. I was having an interesting conversation actually, Alex, with a client of both of ours last week around how to think about their system. They've got a phenomenally exciting system that aspirationally will do all sorts of amazing things, and then they've got a system that is still quite a beautiful solution and is quite an elegant service, but that is a lot more streamlined and low tech. So I tend to think about everything in terms of MVP system, minimum viable product system, and aspirational system. And provided you know that by building your MVP, you can scale that and build that out in pursuit of your aspirational system, that's fine. What you don't want to do is build something that works and is up and running and is fine. In order to build it out to reach the aspirational system, you have to undergo some sort of fundamental change that will either cost you money, will almost certainly cost you money. The reason, and almost coming back full circle and looping this back into the first question, which is the benefit of having it as part of the law firm, is that, well, there are a number of benefits. One of the big ones is that lawyers have been trained over about 1,000 years to have a bloodhound sense for risk and swamps as you go along. And so if there is that level of threat mitigation built into the entire design thinking and the entire development process, then that can really save you some headache and heartache later on down the line.
On a climate change side, technology is not without its own sort of impacts and emissions. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe first what digital pollution is, and then a little bit about the report and how you came to do it and why you came to do it, and then I think what would be great is I think you came up with a sort of 4-step analysis to thinking about it. And if you could unpack that.
Digital pollution, it's essentially the carbon emissions required in order to create or action a digital process. So in the same way as our physical movements and behaviors impact the environment, what we do online, such as sending emails or saving to the cloud, does as well. You might have seen some of the pretty impressive but shocking stats out there which help us to realize our reliance upon technology. And that has only become greater during the pandemic. And I do think that could be a threat in terms of sustainability if it's not addressed. So a couple off the top of my head, for instance, if the internet was a country, it would be the 6th largest polluter in the world. And in 2019, the internet actually polluted the planet more than the entire aviation industry combined. There was another really good study done which said that if everybody in the UK sent one less thank you email, as we all know, we like to be overtly polite and send these, it would be the combination of the amount of emissions that would produce would be the same as 81,000 return flights to Madrid from the UK. So our view on that is not around building less. I mean, we're a technology company, we build tech, but it's around building smart. As a company that builds digital products, we believe that it's therefore our responsibility to stand up and to make digitally smart, sustainable decisions to create less digital pollution when creating quality products. So you mentioned we created the Green Report. This was born from all of this thought and understanding around digital pollution and what can we do and what's our role in this. And so the Green Report is a tool to track, cut and control your business's digital pollution. It was designed to help to educate and propose tangible solutions to business leaders or department leaders looking to improve their products or services or behaviours to try and make them more sustainable.
If one just moved to 100% renewable energy, for example, so one has it. So all of our electricity is then decarbonized. Then does that fix the digital pollution problem by itself?
My answer to that is no, because it needs to be aligned with societal change, environmental change, behavioural change within the company as well, in order to actually sustain that change. So really what we could all do is change our internet browsers. We could sign up to a green host for our website. Some of these pretty quick fixes. I'm sure we've all also seen the number of companies that will plant trees and to try and make up for some of the actions. But what we look at in the Green Report is to actually take a step back and evaluate, okay, that's great, but where can we make sustainable change, and how we measure and work on a day-to-day basis, and then what we build. That actually, if we can change from the top in that sense, that everything we're using and interacting with becomes more sustainable and the impact is greater.
Tom, I wanted to come across to you to other harms of technology.
The specific issues that run with any project that people should be cognizant of and be aware of, in addition to the ones Tazz mentioned a moment ago. I mean, they very much vary from use case to use case, but data is always there, and data is both opportunity and threat. You can derive great insight from data and take real actionable points from the insights you derive from data. But a data breach is a disaster. A data breach nowadays is the corporate equivalent of an environmental disaster. It can absolutely destroy your business. The moment after a data breach happens, the litigation begins. And so you really need to make sure that your data practices aren't just exciting and informative, but they are compliant and compliant not just as the law is today, but as the law is likely to be tomorrow.
We've had a question come in around, I see Mishcon Purpose is going to be launching an app to help its employees with sustainability. This is one that I can answer because I've been really involved in this, and it's a real privilege to be doing so. We, as a firm, as part of our commitment to delivering positive social and environmental impact, are following a model where we're looking at how we deliver that impact in the way that we run our business, in the advice that we give to our clients, and in how we can use the law as a tool in the wider world to drive for positive change. But we're also working to enable our people to do their bit. And so at the end of this month, we'll be launching a wonderful app called Geeky Zero, which has been developed to help people understand their environmental footprint, and in particular their carbon footprint, from the choices they make and the way that they decide to live their lives, and making that available on a common platform for all of our people. So hopefully that will enable people, particularly as we're all locked down at home, to engage with this in our day-to-day lives. Tazz, thank you very, very much for giving up the time to join us. Tom, as always, it's an absolute pleasure to chat. Thank you, everybody else, for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
The Mishcon Academy Digital Sessions. To access advice for businesses that is regularly updated, please visit mishcon.com.